Hi, this is Keri Wilmot, and welcome to my YouTube channel, where we are going to talk all about the strategies, tools, tips, and even toys that I've used as a pediatric occupational therapist to help autistic kids, as well as kids with disabilities like ADHD and sensory processing disorder, to succeed in their everyday lives. So while navigating this special needs path might seem really confusing, it's actually quite simple. I've worked with kids for 23 years, and I can't wait to share with you everything I've learned through my professional and personal experiences to help your kids succeed too. One thing I've learned as a mom myself is that parenthood does not come with an instruction manual. And being the parent of a child with a disability gives you entrance into a club that you never thought that you would willingly want to belong to. And I know that all too well as the parent of a child with special needs too. So thank you for being here, and don't miss out on anything. Hit the subscribe button and let's get started. I've worked in every single aspect of pediatrics possible, and I've done it in 3 different states: Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Texas. I've participated in over 1,000 evaluations and IEP meetings in charter and public-private schools. For many years, I was assigned to specialty clinics at a children's hospital where I evaluated kids with autism, learning disabilities, ADHD, physical disabilities, and kids with sensory processing disorder too. Most recently, I've also gained a lot of experience working with kids who have been or are currently in the foster care system and have suffered from repeated trauma. I have driven hundreds of thousands of miles in my car and spent thousands of dollars of my own personal money on toys, games, and therapy tools to help kids succeed in fun and motivating ways. So here is where I realized something extremely interesting. Way back in 2009, insurance companies were actually starting to begin to deny kids for therapy services. So my husband and I collaborated to start the Toy Queen YouTube channel as a way for all parents, teachers, grandparents, any caregiver to be able to help kids achieve those developmental milestones right in the comfort of their own living room using fun toys and unique play tips that I was already using with my clients in therapy. I honestly could have never predicted what was going to happen next. And before I knew it, I was getting invitations to attend toy media events all over the country. And I was hired by About.com to write as their toys expert, where for the next several years, I wrote thousands of articles on the best toys, games, and play tips. I had built relationships with every major toy company, was doing television segments on the hottest holiday toys, still working full-time as an OT, and had even become a mother and was raising a toddler. And while things were all fun in the toy world, we started to see some really big changes in education. We had a lot more awareness of disabilities like autism and ADHD, but with that, we were seeing some dramatic changes in curriculum. All of a sudden, kids were expected to perform their developmental skills at earlier ages, and this was causing them a lot of stress and frustration, and problem behaviors were starting to show up in their classroom settings. So as a result, we were seeing an increase in referrals for occupational therapy to determine whether kids had sensory processing issues or any other types of disabilities present. What solidified the fact that this was actually becoming an issue is that in 2015, I was contacted by understood.org to ask if I would become their occupational therapy expert, because they were trying to help parents navigate these different paths so that they could understand the special education process and get their kids the help they needed. What I was really not prepared for, though, was how challenging it was going to get for my family personally when we decided to move from Massachusetts to Texas when my son was in kindergarten. I had taken a job in home health, and I used to see kids in their home after school. And at least one day a week around 3:30, I would be ready to knock on a client's door for a therapy session, and I would get an unannounced phone call from my son's teacher. During that conversation, she would say things like, "He's really struggling to start his work. He's not finishing his work. Do you think you could talk to him at home so he can participate better at school? Have you ever thought about going to the pediatrician and getting him some medication? It really might transform his life." And then she would say a lot of times, like, "I just don't know what else to do. Do you think you could talk to him? Do you have any suggestions on how he might perform better at school?" She would often say things like, "I just don't know what to do." He was coming home in his backpack almost every single day with red faces or frowny faces. He was crying and telling me about stories that he hadn't earned enough tickets to buy anything for their classroom rewards. And in kindergarten and school was just not the fun place that he thought it was going to be. I was so frustrated because I never knew that these calls were coming. And I always seemed to be in a place where I just had to kind of magically pretend like it had never happened. I mean, at the time, I was actually writing a book for teachers on how to work with kids with sensory creative processing skills, and they didn't know that. So why were they calling me and asking me for strategies to help them in the classroom? I mean, surely they should have known what to do in that situation, right? I mean, he was little. Wasn't some of this expected? And why were they not doing basic things that I knew of as an occupational therapist that they could be doing to help improve his confidence so that he could succeed in the classroom? And why were they asking me to medicate him so young? And just like I had helped so many parents of my clients throughout the years, I was on the special education journey myself, sitting on the opposite side of the table, supposedly part of a team, but honestly feeling like we were on an island all of our own. I felt like there was constant judgment, and no matter what he tried to do, it was just never good enough. We were in a totally different part of the country with different rules, different time frames, different standards, and teachers who honestly had had a very different education and understanding of disabilities than what I was used to, having lived and worked in the Northeast. I watched his self-confidence and self-esteem slowly disappear. I mean, I had guided hundreds of my own clients on the path to diagnosis and to help them gain additional supports, and here I was now hiring my own neuropsychologists, therapists, tutors, and visiting all sorts of doctors to help get him the support that he needed. Receiving those phone calls made me feel so alone, and I had so much knowledge behind what I thought was already probably happening. But I actually was not alone. I was starting to see that other moms were posting their concerns in Facebook groups. I was taking on new clients in the area, and their parents were telling similar stories of their kids and how they were struggling at school. Neighbors were, beginning to tell me their stories. So I began helping my friends and clients ask the right questions to make sure that their kids were getting everything that they needed so that they could advocate for their education and their success at school too. But here's the interesting part. This was all happening before the pandemic. And I think we can all agree that since then, things have not gotten any easier. I had a major realization not too long ago when I was having lunch with a friend. I mean, I have worked as a therapist for 23 years. I've written a book. I've led webinars. I have educated so many people on different kinds of disabilities and how kids can succeed at school. And this is a huge problem that is not going away anytime soon, and it's actually getting worse. And so I'm so thankful that you're here because I cannot wait any longer. Our kids need our support, and they deserve to be able to succeed in their daily lives and in their education. Kids with disabilities, especially those who are neurodivergent, are struggling to find success at school and at home. This is impacting their friendships, and it's probably impacting the peace and happiness in your home every single day. My goal in sharing my knowledge and expertise is that I don't want any child to have to struggle at school because of a lack of education or knowledge of the professionals around them every single day. Now more than ever, teachers need our support. And let me explain it simply. Once we educate them on the special things that our kids need to succeed, like seating and fidget toys and sensory diets and motor breaks and how to redirect their behavior, they will not forget. I have seen it time and time again that they will learn to use these strategies and they will use them on the kids that come after ours. But the problem is we have a teaching shortage, and we have a lot of teachers who just don't have a lot of experience, so they don't know what they need to be doing on implementing these strategies in the first place. And the school districts are not giving them the continuing education that they need to learn it either. Or maybe as a parent, you haven't learned these strategies to help your child yet either, and that's totally fine. We're here together, and I hope that I can share all these strategies so that you can learn more about your child and then in turn help educate the other people around them on what it takes for them to succeed. Number one, subscribe to the newsletter. I know you've already subscribed to the channel, but this next one will allow you to use your email to subscribe to my newsletter. There is a link in the header that will allow you to get all additional resources, whether it's podcasts, toys, websites, apps, anything else in addition that I want to share. I'm going to be sending out a newsletter, and I don't want you to miss anything. Number two, share. Think about what you're willing to share, whether it's just in a conversation with a family member, with your parents, with a friend or a neighbor, or if you're willing to share the links from the videos through emails or text messages to sending them to your child's teacher or to other friends and family members. Start sharing your journey at a level that is comfortable with you, because it will help you to get more resources and learn new information and expand your relationships and friendships so that you can get the support you need as well. Number three, comment. I want you to comment comment under this video the answer to a question that I ask all of my clients when I meet them for the first time. And that is, what can I do to help your family that would make your day-to-day life exponentially better? Please drop that answer in the comment section below so that I can help create additional videos and resources that can specifically help your family and target what your individual needs are too. Parenting a child with special needs is a bit like riding a roller coaster, and I'm so glad you're here. So buckle yourself into the seat next to me, and I know while we're going to have some ups and downs, I've got amazing things planned for us, and I can't wait to take this journey with you.